conversation in the fall about Bitcoin. You've switched your view a little bit on this?
I think you all have said enough. I'm not going to say any more. You guys are the ones popping this whole thing. You talk about it too much. You should stop talking about it and go back to something relevant. It's not my interest. I don't want to be a spokesman for or against.
Not on this show. That was, of course, Jamie Dimon on Squawk Box this morning in Davos, where he doubled down on his skepticism of Bitcoin. But as you know, the JP Morgan CEO has really missed the mark on where the cryptocurrency will trade. Since Dimon famously called Bitcoin a fraud back in September, it soared about 158%, despite falling from its highs in December. What's more, Bitcoin's actually bounced today, even after Dimon's words from this morning. So is Jamie Dimon the contrarian crypto indicator? Dan?
I don't think so. I mean, I like what he said this morning. He's basically saying, hey, listen, you know, there's some people at my firm who are looking at blockchain. There's some people at my firm who are probably very interested in the notion of cryptocurrencies, but I'm not going to talk about it. And most of the major banks aren't really talking about it. Did you see what Lloyd Blankfein said? He wouldn't answer the questions either about building a trading arm. So I don't think Jamie is a contrarian, you know, call here.
Well, he didn't. I think he was saying he didn't ask to be the spokesman for or against,
right.
And that's a totally fair comment. Unfortunately, Jamie Dimon is a guy we all listen to, and clearly I think people are going to extend his words in places that maybe he becomes one by default.
It's the thing is that he came at it so adamantly. It's a fraud. You could have said so many things up to fraud.
He opened up this box.
Right, because he went all the way to the extreme against it.
And I think what I'm taking away from this is not necessarily pro or con. He's just saying we spend too much time on it, is what he's saying, essentially, right? He thinks there are other areas of the market that we should be looking at, whether that's the dollar, whether it's something in the earnings right now, whatever. But he is definitely pushing. Go ahead.
No, I think Pete's right. And he called it a fraud. I don't think he was talking. I can't get inside Mr. Dimon's head, but I'll play the game. I don't think he was necessarily talking about where the price was going. Now, if he made the same comments, by the way, when Bitcoin was trading north of 15,000, and it traded 2 days later, it's 20,000. Now it's currently, we'd be saying what a genius he was in terms of his anticipation of said move. So I don't think anything's changed other than the fact that his call happened when it was a $6,000 item instead of a $15,000.
So here's what I would say: is here's a guy who runs one of the biggest banks in the world, and he sees this new technology, blockchain technology, as something that could massively disintermediate many different businesses that he has. He also sees it as a massive drain on talent. Okay, some of the smartest tech minds, financial minds and stuff are focused on this, and they're not going to work at banks and that sort of thing. So to me, I think he's thinking about this in the rearview mirror, saying, you know what, there's nothing here other than risk for me right now, and that's probably why it's coming out the way it is, because I don't think either one of these interviews, you know, come across particularly well. I don't think he looks bad by any means, but he's just saying, this is not my deal. We're not focused on it. We're doing what we do, so, you know, go have at it, millennials.
Well, Jamie, we hope you're listening closely. We know that you do watch our show sometimes, because our next guest says Bitcoin could hit $30,000 by the end of the year. Dan Chiotoli is a blockchain analyst from Bespoke Investment Group. He joins us now to tell us what could drive the next Bitcoin boom. Dan, great to have you with us.
Good to have you too.
You actually lowered your Bitcoin forecast mainly because of the pullback, but you say that it's Lightning that is going to be the real driver of value. Can you explain?
So I think that the Lightning Network could really be huge for Bitcoin in 2018 because what I'm not seeing now is commerce involving Bitcoin. So no one's actually selling goods or services for Bitcoin in a way that's profitable to them because those transaction fees are just so high. So with Lightning Network, you'd see a big reduction in transaction fees, and I think that would bring in the next wave of people to the Bitcoin ecosystem.
And so this will impact Bitcoin more so than other cryptocurrencies that are also trying to speed up. I mean, some of them already have faster transaction speeds.
So there are differences, of course, among all the cryptocurrencies, but the impact of Lightning Network will be limited to, I believe, Bitcoin and Litecoin. There may be other ones that I'm leaving out, but those are just the ones I'm aware of off the top of my head. There are also, you know, Ethereum has a bit faster transactions than Bitcoin, but it still could run into the same issue if it gets the same usage that Bitcoin does.
So, and Dan, before we get farther into this conversation, can you explain in real simple layman's terms what the Lightning Network is and does?
So the Lightning Network essentially facilitates agreements between people to transact off-chain. So you're kind of trusting. So Bitcoin was made to kind of be this trustless network, but with Lightning, you are trusting that other person. But if there is a dispute, you can take that to the blockchain as kind of a settlement layer.
Dan, is there a publicly traded bank or financial institution that the folks at home have heard of, for example, a Citi or JP Morgan or Morgan Stanley, that has separated themselves in terms of integrating or the potential integration of blockchain going forward?
So that's not really my area of expertise. You'd have to ask Paul Hickey about that one.
All right, well, we will do that. Dan, we're going to leave it there. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, too.
Dan Ciotoli of Bespoke. All right.
Although Citibank is in the block ETF, which is alleged to be finding those companies that are
biggest investments of its peers into blockchain.
So I think one of the bear cases with Bitcoin is that it's called a cryptocurrency, but yet it's not a currency. Yes, it's not used to transact, and so people are thinking about it as a store of value. So what they're talking about with the Lightning Network, it's actually making it more usable, and it's going to actually create larger network effects, and more users are going to make it more valuable, that sort of thing. And so if you like Bitcoin for Lightning, then you like Ethereum because of what they are doing with smart contracts there. So he does bring up the point about speeds, transaction speeds, and that's something that these networks are going to have to upgrade all the time. So to me, yeah, keep a for you guys out there, maybe that wasn't enough on Lightning. Go read about it because that is a major part of the Bitcoin bull case. Yeah, but for Ethereum, for the use on Ethereum in terms of transactions and such, this Lightning Network could actually make those faster as well. Correct. I would think that that's not as critical unless you're actually making payments. Well, it isn't. I mean, so the Ethereum bull case is very different. It's about basically building apps for the decentralized web for all intents and purposes. So to me, like, the way I think about buying these two, and again, I'm a speculator, I'm not BK, I'm not one of these experts, but those are the use cases that I want to be focused on, these crypto assets, because to me, that's what's interesting from a technology standpoint. Well, it's just interesting to hear that congestion on the networks is certainly something that all these guys need to overcome. And Ethereum at least seems as if they have a technology solution in the short run, and that's one of the reasons why it has become the most popular place for developers. Still ahead, deal chatter heating up in the media space with Lionsgate at the helm, but has anyone actually approached the media giant for a takeover? Lionsgate Vice Chairman Michael Burns will be here to separate fact from fiction. Plus, Tim Seymour stepping up to the plate to pitch one smoking hot pot stock he says could fly even higher, but can he convince the other traders to take a hit? And if you're counting at home, that's 3 cheesy puns and 1 tease. We're back right after this.